And what do you want Santa to bring to you for Christmas, working podcaster? More episodes of Podcast Pontifications? Well, you have been a very good podcaster. Let's see what Santa and Evo, that's me, can do. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. The end of Evo's long winter's nap is upon us, and I shall return with brand new episodes of Podcast Pontifications on on January 4, 2021. Yeah. So it's been great taking the time off as I counsel many of my clients, well, all of my clients, and many of the people I talk with. I think podcasting breaks are great. And to really live and embody that reality, have been on break since the end of October, all of November, except for now, this show in December, back again on January 4th. Smart for me to take that big break. I take another month-long break in the middle of the summer just to break up my reality of doing the live daily show. But if you've been subscribed, then you were not without content. You have heard, if you're listening to the show, if you've subscribed to the podcast, you have heard the voices of other people while I was away. They were not on the newsletter. They were not here doing LinkedIn Live, and they're not posted to the website. But they were bonus episodes of the podcast done by other working podcasters with their own bits of advice to share with you. So a huge, huge thank you to the following people. Patrick Oliver Jones, who kicked us off. He's from the podcast Why I'll Never Make It. Big thanks to Stephanie Fuccio. Two C's is hard to pronounce, but yeah. Steph, thank you very much. He is with the Geopats Podcasts, plural. That was intentional. Also, Kevin Patton of both the podcasts The A&P Professor and The Academic Podcaster. Thank you for lending your voice. Mark Stedman, who is with the podcast hosting, distribution, and analytics company Podiant. My friend Brian Barletta of the AdTech newsletter, which I helped co-edit, Sounds Profitable. And then finally, Tim Desmond of the podcast Revolution Fi. Thanks to all of you, big thanks to all of you for lending your voices here on the show. And a smaller thanks, and maybe a lump of coal, to the three of you who said you would happily supply content during this time, but you did not. Well, you know who you are. But that's cool. That's cool. Remember, I'll be taking another break in June, so if you would like to start recording your podcast pontifications for June, go ahead. Reach out. Get in touch. I'll let you know what you need to do to make that happen. Now, while I've been on break, lots of things have happened, but you probably have noticed this. If you're watching the video right now, behind me, and if you're not watching the video, maybe you've noticed the logo of Podcast Pontifications has changed in your podcasting app. That's right. Big thanks to Nick Gills, a graphic designer extraordinaire, I think, who's been producing lots of work for me and for my clients in the past, but I asked him and commissioned him, more appropriately, I commissioned him to produce an amazing and finally professional logo, not just an emoji that Evo whipped together on his own. No, a real live pro logo for Podcast Pontifications. I think it looks great. It really captures the Zen feeling I'm trying to go to with Podcast Pontifications as we start pondering and thinking about these sometimes basic questions, but oftentimes very deep philosophical questions about what does it mean to be a working podcaster and how will our lives be changed, or how are our lives changing as working podcasters. So that will continue, and I hope that the logo kind of captures a little bit more of that than the previous efforts which I had done. Speaking of that, I have also placed Podcast Pontifications on the Twitters. I'm a big Twitter user, but I finally made a separate account just for Podcast Pontifications. It's PodPont, Podpoent, because Podcast Pontifications is too many letters for a Twitter handle. Yeah, so you can go to twitter.com/podpont and subscribe to the Podcast Pontifications Twitter account. Right now, the plan is, look, I'm not being less active on Twitter, but with this new account, I will definitely be posting notices of when the episodes go live. I might even post some information about the recording of it live here on LinkedIn as I do. I'll probably do some repurposing of the content for each episode. There are some new cool tricks that I want to try, and some new techniques that are good for social promotion that I want to try out that I just really don't want to shove through my own personal feed since it gets kind of busy. So anyhow, if you want to know what I'm doing playing around with podcasting and Twitter, check out PodPont on the Twitter for the Podcast Pontifications Twitter account. And really, guys, that's it. I want to wish everybody a happy solstice, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, whatever else you want to put inside of there that you put inside of there, do it. It's that time of year. But most importantly, I want to say this. Here's to 2021. No way it can be worse than 2020, right? Let's hope. Anyhow, that's it. I shall be back on Monday, January 4, 2021, for yet another Podcast Pontifications. Cheers.